Hello intellectuals, welcome to our channel. Today we are going to discuss about International Labour Organization ILO, which is located in Geneva, Switzerland. This is the first, oldest and best international organization established in the year of 1919 as a part of League of Nations. It is having a common goal of improving the condition of life and work of the workers throughout the world. ILO is an international body and the Parliament of World Labour. It adopts international labor standard in the form of convention and recommendation, which are collectively called as International Labor Standards or International Labor Code. It is a tripartite body which is consisting representatives of not only the government of members but also the union of employers and workers in the proportional ratio of 2 is 1 is 1 respectively. After the League of Nations dissolved, it became the specialized agency under the United Nations in the year of 1946. ILO is the oldest international body functioning very successfully and symbolizes social justice, universal and lasting peace, human dignity, and labor welfare throughout the world. It is the first international body working for overall development of the workers of the world. It had been awarded the prestigious Nobel Peace Prize in 1967. ILO is the protector of basic human rights of workers of the world. The main objective of ILO is to assure overall development of working class of the world through the standard setting and economic development of the member countries as a means to improve the world economy. Also, it has the objective to promote and realize the standards and fundamental principles and the rights of work, create greater opportunities for the women and men to decent employment and income, enhance the coverage and effectiveness of social protection for all, and strengthen the tripartism and social dialogue. I told you before, ILO is a tripartite structure at all the level of its organization. Government are associated with their other partners of the production. The workers and the employers are required to represent at all the levels and almost all the deliberative matters who have to share the responsibility in conducting of a work of ILO. The three main organs of the ILO is General Conference or International Labour Conference, Governing Body, and International Labour Office, which is also known as ILO Office or Secretariat of ILO. First, we are going to see about International Labour Conference or the General Conference. It is the important organ of ILO and the supreme law-making body. It adopts international labor standards in the form of conventions and recommendation. It is the Parliament of World Labour and Policy Making Authority of ILO. All the members of ILO are the members of the conference. Each members are entitled to send 4 delegates as the representatives in the ratio of 2 is 1 is 1. 2 representing the government side, 1 representing the employer, and the other one is for employees or the workers side. Each delegates can be accompanied by the permissible number of advisors. Second important wing is called governing body. Governing body is the executive organ of ILO. It is intermediary between the International Labour Conference and International Labour Office. It is also the tripartite body representing government, employers and workers group. ILO without governing body is like a state without government. The governing body of ILO shall consist of 56 persons, 28 representing the government, 10 shall be from the member countries of the chief industrial importance, 14 representing the employers, and the next 14 representing the workers. The most important function of the governing body is to exercise the executing the policies and programs approved by the International Labour Conference. Appointment of the Director General under the instrument of amendment of the Constitution of 1986. Considering the program and budget proposal submitted by the Director General and recommending the same to the conference for the approval. Drawing up the agenda of each session of the conference. deciding the specific action to be taken on the resolution that adopted by the ILO conference, setting the dates, duration, agenda of the composition of the subsidiary meeting, seeking the advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice with the approval of IL conference, appointment of commissions of inquiry and tribunals for the quick disposal of disputes between the members wherever possible. The third wing is called International Labour Office, which is also called as a Secretariat or Administrative Office of the ILO. It functions as a mediator office between a member country and the ILO. It is headed by the Director General, who also acts as a Secretary General of the International Labour Conference. The mission of International Labour Office is to prepare the documents on the various items of agenda for the meeting of the conference, carry out the duties required by the provisions of ILO Constitution in the connection with the convention, organizing, compiling reports, preparing the draft of international labor standards, implementing the operational programs, the International Labor Review by monthly, official bulletin by quarterly, labor statistics by annually. Other publications such as the work and reports also submitted by the IL office to the IL conference. The ILO constitution have the four chapters. Chapter 1, which deals about the organization under the article 1 to 13. Chapter 2 deal to the procedure under the article 14 to 34. Chapter 3, which deal to the general aspects article 35 to 38. Chapter 4, miscellaneous provision under the article 39 to 40. Principal aim of ILO is establishment of the world peace based upon the social justice by ensuring the well-being of the workers, physical as well as intellectuals. There are four principles of ILO as affirmed by the Conference of 1994 Declaration, which is called Labor is not a commodity, freedom of expression and association are essential to sustained progress, poverty anywhere constitutes a danger to prosperity everywhere, and the war against want requires to be carried on with unrelenting the vigor within each nation and by continuance of the concentrated international effort in which the representative of the workers and employers employing equal status with those of the government join with them in the free discussion and the democratic decision with a view of the promotion of the common welfare. Conventions and recommendations. One of the important function of ILO is to adopt the conventions and recommendations, which are also called as International Labour Standards or International Labour Code, for overall development of the workers and the economic development of the world countries. Therefore, it is very essential to discuss about the meaning, nature and scope of ILO conventions and the recommendations. Convention and the recommendation is the final instrument adopted by the ILC with regard to the item on the agenda proposed before it. The degree of uniformity achieved in international practice on a particular subject is the basis to know whether the proposed instrument of the agenda should take in the form of convention or recommendation. With the possibility of objecting to the draft proposal high, it is generally adopted as a convention. If the aim is general standard for assisting the member countries, then it is generally adopted as a recommendation. Nature of ILO convention and recommendation. Conventions and recommendations contain minimum labor standard which must be assured to the workers by the member countries. In fact, convention require ratification by the member countries, and when it is ratified, it had made the national law binds upon the citizens. Such ratification is not necessary in case of a recommendation. A convention or the recommendation for coming into a force after adoption requires at least two ratification by the member countries. That is, for coming into the force, a convention required to ratified by at least two member countries. Ratification of a convention is mandatory on the part of the member countries, and in case non-ratification, the concerned member country should explain to the ILO reason for the non-ratification, and the requirement is recurring in nature every year. But here, ratification of a recommendation is optional. Scope of the ILO convention and recommendation. The ILO conventions and recommendation must be very flexible in nature. It must assure the social justice, economic development of the backward countries, and also it should provide the basic human rights of all the workers in the world. So, intellectuals, here I'm concluding the basic overview of the ILO. In the upcoming videos, we will discuss more about the relationship between ILO and India, what are the conventions and recommendation has been ratified by India, and how it is implementing in Indian labor laws. For more details, please do subscribe and hit the follow button of the Courtroom Intellectuals.